Aren't you a Republican?
I am a Republican, but I'm not going to be a Republican anymore. I've got to become an independent.
Guess what? The independents don't want you either. Silence. Another day, another Russian appears with a name that I can't pronounce. And the media clutches their pearls like a nun eyeing crop tops at Forever 21. Here's the question. Is every Russian now a spy? Is every Muslim now an extremist? Imagine if these people were Muslims. CNN and MSNBC wouldn't know what to do. They'd have to return to bashing the cops. Fact is, the media focuses on certain parts of the story, but not others. They scream about Russians in this meeting while ignoring who let one of them in. It was President Obama's people who allowed a woman with no visa into this country, and then she ends up meeting Donald Trump Jr.? That's fishier than the dumpster outside Red Lobster. It reminds me of my favorite soap opera.
A passionate affair. A dangerous game of love and corruption. They could have had it all.
A Kremlin-connected Russian lawyer who was described at the campaign as a Russian government lawyer ushered into a top-level meeting with the Trump campaign at Trump Tower.
Until one man stopped everything.
How did the Russian lawyer get into the United States if wasn't her visa denied? And she arrived here under President Obama.
And uncovered a dark secret.
Pointing to the idea that this Russian attorney, Natalia Veselnitskaya, got into the country because of the Obama administration.
Can their love survive the past? Rachel Maddow, Barack Obama, Natalia Veselnitskaya, with John Stamos as Russia, and introducing Greg Gutfeld as Biff.
This is either the end of things, or things are about to get very, very weird.
Days of Our Comrades, weeknights.
Nice. All right. Sure, why not? Clap. The analysis never ends, and it's always dripping in qualifiers.
There are a lot of questions still about what's going on, but there is a lot of smoke around here.
We spent a lot of months trying to piece some of this together, and by no means are the pieces fitting yet, but this does, seem like a significant piece.
If there was collusion between whether it's Donald Trump Jr. or someone else and the Russians, what does that mean? Then there's the big, what does that mean? And I think
we don't know.
Yes, we don't know. Hey, but don't let that stop us. Everyone is getting into the act, even the old classics.
Look, I haven't seen everything, but this is absolutely unprecedented in the history of the country.
Yeah, just like that false document you peddled about George Bush. Oy vey. Oh, and as bozos blather, their banners below have rabies. Check them out. Top Republican, White House is paralyzed. White House under siege. Peak chaos at the White House. See, now they're just putting random words together. Here's one I made up. Super Taco White House Death Rattle Spoon. I don't even know what it means. But I do know about collusion. First, it's not collusion for people to chat. If so, then why isn't Joy Behar in jail? Lock her up. And is listening now a crime? If so, I have an excuse for ignoring my wife. Oh, an old joke. I know. That's gonna hurt. Also, the media now tells us that a private citizen can't engage in the same behavior that they can. Do they have special rights that we don't? Carl Bernstein would crawl over a bed of angry ferrets to get to that meeting, then call the source a whistleblower. If it were Chelsea Clinton, she'd suddenly be called a citizen journalist. Hell, if you offered dirt on Trump to Bill Clinton, he might stop groping a waitress just to take a look. If info on Trump was offered to the media, you think they'd ponder its origins? They were passing around that British dossier like a used-up hustler. We keep redefining collusion, so I'm going to do it too. I've been fighting collusion all my life, from media, academia, and Hollywood, as they trick us into accepting foul lies and propaganda. You want collusion? Look at climate change journalism. Look at the news coverage on law enforcement. Look at how conservatives are demonized across pop culture. You want collusion? Watch how academics, reporters, and celebrities made identity politics the most destructive cult since the People's Temple. You want collusion, media? You invented it. Because every day there's a smoking gun, and in 2 days it goes up in smoke. But the press keeps overselling their product, exhausting the public. Could you imagine CNN and MSNBC being this intense over Benghazi, Fast and Furious, the IRS scandal, the DOJ scandal, the Secret Service scandal, Loretta Lynch's tarmac visit, Donna Brazil's debate collusion, Hillary's secret server, the Clinton Foundation shenanigans? I could go on. I could go on, and I will. Nothing will ever come close to Ted Kennedy meeting with the KGB in order to beat Ronald Reagan in 1984. It was a quid pro quo. You helped the Dems, we helped the USSR. If it worked, we would still have the USSR. Instead, now, thanks to Reagan, we have a smaller, far less scary Russia. And that's the big joke here. The Dems used to root for the Russians against us when the USSR was deadly and wanted us dead. And now, decades later, things are better, and the libs are finally seeing red? Save me the outrage. The Russian story is the left's crack cocaine, and they won't put down the pipe until there's a new dealer in the White House. Let's welcome tonight's guests. She's so sweet, she hiccups butterflies. Fox News chief legal correspondent Shannon Breen. He's so smart, Mensa sends him hate mail. Author, political commentator, and host of The Mark Steyn Show, Mark Steyn. She's so sharp, scissors are told not to run with her. Co-host of the Fox News specialist, Kat Timpf. And that's not nighttime, it's Tyrus's shadow. Former bodyguard and my massive sidekick, Tyrus. All right. Shannon, you're the lawyer here. What do you make of this? Is there any there, or is there no there?
Let's take one thing off the table right away, and this is the talk of treason, because that is something that even on the right, the left, all along the ideological spectrum, they seem to agree the T word is out. Let's just stop talking about that when we're talking about Donald Trump Jr. There are some other things that overzealous prosecutors or interested parties would pursue. There's talk of things like perjury. Has he made any sworn testimony under oath? Any sworn documents talking about whether or not he had these kind of meetings? There are those who will try to use the campaign finance law, saying, did he get anything from value from this foreign national? I think that right now there are many investigations underway, so we'll see. But I think most people agree it's not the legal trouble he has to worry about. It's more the public perception.
Yes, but I think that the public has accepted the perception of Trump, that he's an outsider, therefore these mistakes happen, but that's another story. Mark, is the media Russist?
I think it's more than Russist. I was disturbed to hear Shannon say, did he get something of value from a foreign national? Because I didn't know that was a crime in America, to get something. Trump produced the Miss Universe pageant, which by definition, the title suggests it may involve meeting people who are not American.
That's true.
And I'm disturbed. I'm not a foreigner myself. I was born and raised in Idaho, as you can probably tell. But I do deplore this xenophobia. And it's weird to me, particularly from the Open Borders Party, like the Democrats, that all 7 billion people on the planet are fine, except for Russians. Do you remember when the Secret Service got into trouble with the Cartagena hookers?
Right.
They were supposed to be advancing a trip for Obama, and instead they were in hotel rooms with Cartagena hookers. And Congress passed a law forbidding Secret Service agents to be in their hotel rooms with foreign nationals. Now, it's not a foreign nationals problem, it's a Cartagena hookers problem.
Yes.
And it's the inability to, and so it's the same thing here. There's not a problem with a Russian there's not a problem with a Russian pop promoter or a Russian lawyer. There'd be problems if they were crack intelligence agents, but so far they're just fringe, wacky Russians. Comedy Russians, in fact. Musical comedy Russians.
Exactly. The fun ones.
Yeah,
They're the fun ones.
Exactly.
But, Kat, I don't know. Not every... Russians are just... We treat them as though each one is somehow a spy. And I'm married to a Russian, and as far as I can tell, I don't think she's a spy yet.
Yeah.
But
that's how good she is.
That's how good she is.
That's how good she is.
Yeah, that's super deep cover. I wouldn't take that assignment, Greg. You got to give her credit for that.
Exactly.
That's how I feel. Like, I think there's certain things that I have questions about. Why does the story keep changing? Stuff like that. However, there's that side. And then the other side is people are just going nuts over every little thing. Like, if you're Russian, then automatically you can't talk to that person, or it's a nothing burger, or it's the end of the world. I don't understand when I lost my right to care just a little about something. I want to be able to care just a little without putting on a tinfoil hat of either side. I don't want to put on the deep state media left conspiracy or the Russia-Putin best buddies with Trump conspiracy theory. I have work to do. I have a life. I don't want to pretend I'm the FBI. Why is everyone an armchair FBI agent all the time? I'm just going to chill and let everybody else do their job and see what happens and manage to stay as relaxed as possible.
Well, I think that's a good move on your part. What about you, Tyrus? What do you think?
What do I think?
Yes.
I think the real story is that all this talk, no one was talking about, like, I have my own new TV show that came out on AMC. No one was talking about I got one damn tweet. One, Greg, hey, whatever it was, cool.
That was definitely a very
That's
American
the real
thing
story.
to do.
I mean, I don't care about this Russia stuff no more. I'm over it. So we had a meeting. There are 6 people in there. Who cares?
Yeah.
He's a private citizen. You know, what's the big deal? The big deal is I was on Preacher, AMC, and no one said nothing. That's a scandal. So, yes, Greg.
The audience agrees. We have missed the real story that Tyrus is now on Preacher.
Yeah.
What is your character?
Oh, you didn't watch. I'm not telling you. Don't even go there, Kat. I know you didn't watch.
I favorited a tweet.
She favored you because he did it. I know. I was like, oh, thanks. That's the real story. The collusion between you two. When you guys got your little shows, I was like, good job, guys. High five. I got my stuff.
You got a chair.
Yeah.
You know, the worst thing about this scandal, that if I ever hear the word nothing burger again, I'm going to kill, I don't know, I'm going to kill something. I can't say what it is because then I'll be investigated. Okay, up next. Hillary Clinton may want to play a role in next year's midterms. Is this good news for Republicans or is it great news? Zeke. Like acid reflux after that Chipotle burrito, Hillary keeps coming back up. According to the Hill newspaper, Hillary Clinton wants to play a role in next year's midterm election, but it's not clear what that role would be. I'm guessing she's going to help them lose. Because when all else fails, why not help other candidates lose too? The article goes on to say that Hillary, quote, is looking at the House districts she won in last year's presidential contest against Donald Trump as part of an autopsy of her failed campaign. Yes, let's take a look at the election results by congressional district and remember, Hillary won everything in blue. I haven't seen that much red since I got pink eye in that hostel. Amsterdam, 94. The Democrats have a problem. They can't get past their past. The Party of Progress now does nothing but regress. No new stars, no new ideas. It's like their brains are constipated. If only there were a drug for that.
Are you living in the past and can't move on? Do you sit and dream of the days when Obama was president and struggle to come up with any new ideas for the future other than writing fan mail to Hillary? Then you need Demolax, the drug that lets you past the past. Demolax works by relaxing the receptors of your brain, allowing you to overcome mindset blockages. Why suffer like this any longer?
I haven't had a new idea in 3 days.
I used to have a solid thought every morning, but now I just sit there for 45 minutes, and all I can think about is Hillary.
Rid yourself of mind constipation and look forward to a fresh start.
Since taking Demolax, all I can do is think about the future. I'm having new ideas every day.
Talk to your doctor today about Demolax. Side effects may include having a direction to your party, election victories, and common sense solutions.
All right, Mark, should Hillary retire and let someone else in the party shine? Or, I mean, they can't be happy to have her linger.
No, I think Hillary 2020, third time's the charm. I like two things about Hillary. I like when she dances. If you've seen on stage when they play some groovy music that the young people are into, and she starts.
I like that.
Grooving along. I like do the hill. I think that's good. And I like when Hillary tells jokes and she does that bobble-headed movement. She's like that when she tells jokes. And I just feel if they had a campaign manager who had Hillary just dancing and joke telling, Hillary 2020, third time's the charm. It's the way to go.
She always telegraphs a punchline. She goes, and then she goes like, that joke!
Yeah.
It's so much fun. All right, Shannon. Should she run for office again? Should a Clinton run for office?
Well, it may be Chelsea. We don't know if she may deputize her.
Maybe Chelsea's a great bumper sticker with a question. Maybe Chelsea.
Maybe Chelsea? Question mark. Don't ever count out Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I do not rule out, because remember, she has many scores to settle, because she has explained to all of us the reasons why she lost, including Netflix, the New York Times, President Obama having 2 terms, hackers in Macedonia, Vladimir Putin, James Comey. I mean, she's got a lot of scores to settle, so I would not rule her out, because she has listed all of the things that she needs to avenge. And maybe she could do that in 2020.
Yeah. She's not going to get the drop on those Macedonians. They're Macedonian content farmers. If you've ever seen a Macedonian content farm, you'd know
she's got a beat on them. She's on it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Tyrus, what kind of message do the Democrats need to get back to? Because right now...
Message?
Yeah.
Message?
Yes.
Don't blame us. Blame her.
I don't know if that's going to work. Kat, is there anybody that could fill the current void that they seem to have?
Well, they should start thinking about it, right?
Yes.
They don't seem to be thinking about it. All they're trying to do is attack Donald Trump. Kid Rock is running for Senate in my home state of Michigan. People are very excited. Elizabeth Warren comes out and saying, he's like the next Trump. Really? You're going with that again? How many times do you have to lose with the same strategy before you're like, maybe this is making us lose?
Yes.
And, you know, Kid Rock would probably be kind of fun dude to hang out with. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
I would love to hang out with Kid Rock. Hillary
I
Clinton,
can make that happen.
Oh, Hillary Clinton, probably not so much. And if the Democrats knew what was good for them, they would look at this little pack and try to start their own little pack to keep her in the woods and out of influencing anything, because she makes things go bad for them.
A wood pack. I think what the Dems should learn from Donald Trump is he won. It was a reaction against identity politics, so get away from that. Again, it was a reaction against a monolithic media. There's that, and also law enforcement. That he was pro law enforcement, because all those things plague the Democratic Party. These were seen as anti-law enforcement, pro-identity politics, and pro-monolithic media.
Plus, she just whined at the end about how mean he was to her. Who would want to listen to that from a president, to just stand up there every time she gives a speech instead of leading the country? She just says, you guys are really mean, and things are hard for me, even though I'm very, very rich, and I've had every chance in the world to keep blowing it. Wah, wah, wah. Come on, go away.
All right. On that note, we're going to go away for 2 minutes. Up next, campus word police take drastic measures against a law professor. And later, the senator from New Kansas has some questions for the guy who may run the FBI. Yay. The punishment is taxing for a question about waxing. A law professor at Howard University is now being labeled a sexual harasser because of the content of a question he put on an exam. The question detailed a hypothetical situation in which a customer at a salon claims she fell asleep during a Brazilian wax and was touched inappropriately. Two of Professor Reginald L. Robinson's students complained about the question, which led to a 15-month investigation. Howard University took objection to a word in the test question. Now, be warned, I'm about to say this objectionable word. Please cover your ears if you're easily disturbed. Howard University took objection to the word genitals and sentenced the professor to sensitivity training. Now, I'm no Esquire, but I'm pretty sure during the course of any lawyer's career, they hear words a lot worse than that one. And then some of them have to actually study crime scenes. That's a lawyer's job. If they can't handle that, they can't be my lawyer. Watch something fun like this instead. Clearly, that dog is guilty of cultural appropriation. Shannon, I think this is a huge story because it signifies a victory against speech by punishing a person for using words pertinent to their job. I mean, how can you go to med school if these words are going to be if you got to open up a cadaver? I mean, this is going to be a microaggression.
Well, first of all, if I read that test on one of my law school exams, which I did not, no one falls asleep during a Brazilian. So first of all, that's just completely unrealistic.
That was my exact
Mark, how do you know this? Mark's nodding. Yes, I know.
Yes. No one nods off. It's like, oh yes, I nodded off during a root canal. Like that's not happening. I was a sexual harassment attorney, not meaning that I sexually harassed people, but I was involved with those cases, and there is so much worse in the world. When I was in law school, I was just trying to survive semester to semester. I didn't have time to lodge complaints against professors like this, and if you're this delicate in law school, you're never going to survive.
No one's going to hire you.
In a courtroom, no, it's not going to work.
You know, and Mark, in Canada, they just passed a law that makes it a criminal offense if you use the wrong pronoun.
That's right.
So now they're forcing you to use words.
Yes, if you misgender a transitioning person,
you're screwed.
You're not sure. I hate all the safe spaces, the microaggressions, the triggering and all that. I do think it's a bit odd. I mean, there are words in this question that you cannot use on this. There are phrases in this question that we cannot use on this show.
Right.
And it seems to me a bit odd for a professor to put them in a legal question. So I don't think he should be, deemed a sexual harasser and his career destroyed.
Yeah.
But to quote, and I believe this may be the first time this man has been mentioned on your show, the eminent 19th century, early 20th century English jurist Lord Moulton.
Of course, Moulton.
Yeah, well, Shannon's obviously Shannon's familiar with him as a legal analyst.
I wrote a paper on him.
He said the most important part of life is not what's legal or what's illegal. It's the 80% of life that's just in the realm of manners. And so we shouldn't have the idea that everything here is either legal or illegal. Either you get it right or you're deemed a sexual harasser. I do feel uncomfortable, not quite as uncomfortable as doing that last Brazilian wax I had, but I do feel uncomfortable if it were my daughter being given a question about different types of Brazilian wax, which is what's at issue in this question.
Interesting. So that's unusual. So you're talking more from a manners rather than a legal standpoint.
Yes. It can't all be laws.
Yeah, but okay. Let me ask. So, Kat, you work in publishing, in magazines. So do I. If I'm in a meeting and I'm dealing with like a layout of a pop star and we're talking about body parts or whatever like that, there could be somebody in that office that felt like I had microaggressed them by saying we need to do this or do that.
Yeah, and you would lose because now if you're offended, people automatically say you're right because they don't want to get sued, and that's basically what's been happening. But, they were specifically offended, not by the descriptions of some, maybe, but by the word genitals, which I'm sorry I said it. It's in science books, okay? It's a word that if you're above the age of 3 or you at least have a concept that it's going to play a role in your life, you can get over it. You can't be a human without thinking about the G word existing.
No.
And you can't be a lawyer. I mean, some people never shut up about it.
Is that what are we meant to say the G word?
And you can't be a lawyer without being able to handle the fact that there's sometimes people in the world who do bad things. Your job is dealing with people breaking laws or potentially breaking laws. That would be like being a police officer who's like, I'm scared of guns and vests, but I'm still gonna do it. Or like I said, I'm a doctor, but I'm a germaphobe, so I refuse to see any patients. I mean, maybe it's just not the job for you. There are approximately infinity other jobs. Feel free to choose one of those.
Hey,
come on,
Tyrus.
General.
Let's say you're reading a script for a movie, and the dialogue and the dialogue troubles you. What would happen if you went to the screenwriter or the director and you go, this line you have me saying, I know it's what the character would say, but I just don't feel comfortable. What would happen?
They would say, that's a great point, Tyrus. Very happy to do that. We'll change it immediately. And then as soon as I walk out, they're like, get his big ass out of here.
Coming up, who's the better tipper, a Republican or a Democrat? I'll give you a hint. I've left a $100 bill under your TV right now. Guess who I am? Huh? Don't hit me. Don't hit me.
Okay. Then we see my
Sit down, Tyrus. All right.
That's what Greg looks like without his makeup on.
Yes, exactly. This is beautiful. Anyway, when it comes to tipping, there are two types of people in this country: Republicans and dirty left-wing commie pig cheapskates. Creditcards.com surveyed just over 1,000 adults across the country about how much they leave the wait staff. Turns out the highest tippers, who leave about 20% average, are Republican men from the Northeast who voted for Trump. If there's only one of those in our audience. Worst tippers: women, Southerners, Democrats, and those paying with cash. These groups leave about 15 to 60% on average, which still isn't that bad, I think. How do I tip? Great question. When I'm done eating, instead of a typical gratuity, I offer the server a free copy of Mark Stein's fantastic album. It's called Feline Groovy, Songs for Swingin' Cats. Here's a taste. It's real.
I thought I saw a pussycat a-creeping up on me. You bet I saw a pussycat as plain as he could be. He's watching you. He's watching you.
I rented Joe Scarborough 6 of my groupies because he's a little light in that department.
I still love that song. All right, Tyrus, what do you make of this tipping study?
I'm stuck on the video. I need at least. Man, you know what? I live by a rule: if you don't have tip money, don't go out to eat. And I usually tip about 40%.
Really?
But wherever I go, I get treated when I come back, because I'm a creature of habit.
That's developing a relationship.
Right. And they know that I'm going to get great service and they're going to get great tips. So 20%, if you're broke, then don't go out. But like, not tipping to me is an insult. When I see it, I will actually say something. Matter of fact, real quick, I was having family dinner, and sometimes at those hibachi places, you have to sit with strangers.
I know.
Right? And I have to deal with the whole thing. They're trying to figure out if I'm Tyrus, and I'm doing like, no, I'm just trying to eat. And the tip came, and the dude was like, I pay a lot of money when I go out and this, that, whatever. He tipped $10 on a $100 bill, and as he went, I was like, bruh, come on, man. Like, you're not gonna, Nah, yes. I tip 50% because I have to tip for you because you're ruining the service. Tip.
Kat, when you eat, do you tip?
You just made me millions of dollars.
Sorry, Kat, go ahead.
So it's not a surprise that people who vote against the government taking away all of their money and giving it to other people tend to have more money. Come on, that makes the most sense in the world. When I go out to eat, I also tip ridiculous amounts of money. I used to be a waitress, and I was perhaps the worst waitress in the world. So even if service is bad, then I still tip a bunch, because I remember how upset, I mean really bad. I spilled a whole bottle of wine on a lady once, and instead of like grabbing paper towels, I just stood there asking her if she hated me. And she's like, listen, I don't care. Just tell me. We're not, you know.
That is very Kat.
Yeah, I was like,
I'm more worried about what they think
I'm
of
like,
you.
are you mad at me?
We cool?
We cool? So, you know, the worse the service, sometimes I give the larger tip, because I have a bit of, you know, solidarity with all of us bad waitresses out there.
All right.
So.
Mark, Democrats are only generous with other people's money.
Yeah, I think that's it. I never made it to waiter. I was a busboy at the Westbury Hotel in Toronto. We got 10% of our waitresses' tips. So if we had a room full of Democrats, I was screwed, because I was getting 10% of 90 people who tip whatever it was, 12%, plus you coming in and handing me my Cat album, and I get one track on it. One track on
You
that
left
Cat album.
somehow owing them money.
Yeah. But you're right, is that Democrats care about all 7 billion people on the planet in general. So that if they get really great service, they say, you know, you're a terrific, really hard-working waitress. I'm really impressed by you, and I'm going to work hard to tell the Republican Congress to increase the minimum wage in 3, 4, 5 years' time. And that's how they work. They care about people in general,
right,
but not about individuals.
They think globally, not locally.
Yeah.
Shannon, thoughts?
I'm all about the attitude. I mean, if you have a good attitude, even if you spill a bottle of wine or whatever, I'm going to chip in and help you out. I do have to say my husband meets this as the criteria of men being better tippers than women. He's so generous in a good way, but he always feels like these people are hustling, they're working hard. Let's, you know, we do go behind my parents though.
Yeah, it's always
check and see what they tip.
It's always sad when you awkward when you have a relative, generally older. It's like not, and you just sit there and you're going, and you wait till they leave, and then you add money on the bill when they're gone.
Yeah.
Yes, we do that.
I'm that guy. Yeah. Anyway, I'm the guy that just leaves, and I know that they're going to pay. No, I'm kidding. Up next, rock and roll is officially dead. 2 musicians get dropped from their record label for not having the correct point of view on topics like immigration. I'll talk with them next. They're no longer signed for speaking their mind. This is an amazing story. Dream Machine is a great psych band out of Austin, Texas, led by husband and wife Matthew and Doris Melton. They recently got dropped by their record label for giving some, quote, ugly opinions in a magazine interview. At least the record label thought their opinions were ugly. You be the judge. On the topic of deportation in the U.S., Doris, who's from Bosnia, said, quote, ICE is just doing their job. Oh, my God. And I'm glad they're finally starting to work on deporting criminal illegal aliens, too. It took ages for me to get my green card here legally, and because there's so many illegals coming in, they make it hard for the people who do want to become part of the American society the right way. Amen. I know. I think I'm getting the vapors. How awful was that? There is more. When asked to be critical of the music world, Doris criticized what she called horrible feminist bands who don't play their own instruments. Ooh, and she said, quote, they'll make songs about being sexually assaulted, or how about empowering abortions are. So the record label Castleface took to Facebook to say they were cutting ties to Dream Machine and gave your standard cowardly, the opinions expressed don't represent us, spiel. Matthew and Doris Melton from Dream Machine are with us now from Austin. How you guys doing? What an unusual story.
Yeah.
So, Matt, it seems to me like it's all Doris's fault. Are you going to keep her in the band?
It's all my fault. Well, we found ourselves in an interesting scenario, to say the least. One thing we noticed when we were looking at the response from the controversy is something just didn't seem to add up.
Yeah.
Because on one side, we were getting thousands and thousands of positive emails, response from people supporting us, labels, booking agents, all that. And on the other side, we didn't receive one single email from somebody who had an actual grievance or wanted clarification or justification for anything we said. So from that, we sort of realized it wasn't genuine outrage, but more of a manufactured outrage that was born out of the political correctness, the peer pressure, and the virtue signaling that you see on social media.
Yeah, and we didn't really even say anything that controversial. I mean, who wouldn't want criminals deported? I mean, I can't think of one person who would want to wake up in a country and say, "Oh, I'm so glad that there's a bunch of criminals." And you know, it's really not that controversial. We thought. I mean, our first reaction was, "What did we say again? What was it again?" We couldn't remember even. But, and you know, you're not allowed to criticize feminists because then you're a misogynist. And if you're a woman who criticizes feminism, you have internalized misogyny. So it's all, you know, not allowed to say anything about it. And
I think you guys are the smartest musical artists I've ever heard.
Yeah, we're not all crazy liberals.
You know what kills me most about this story is the true definition of an artist is not giving a damn about what other people think, but the people that are going after you are so concerned about being part of their peer group that they threw you aside. That's what bugs me, is that you guys are actually the rebels, and everybody else there are the sheep.
The interesting thing is, the good thing is that when the scale gets tipped all the way to one side, and the far left definitely has control over culture, is dominating the music business, and when that scale gets tipped all the way, which it is now, you're going to see a counterculture emerge, and I think you're going to see a lot of bands like us who are just fed up. And no matter where you are on the political spectrum, they're going to stand up and say, "I didn't sign up for this, and this just is gone too far."
Yeah,
it's literally just become neoliberals versus people with common sense. You know, it's like mentally ill people versus people who have a healthy mind and can see that these liberals have gone too far.
It is interesting that it's always about freedom of expression, and the people that are supposed to be extolling freedom of expression are the ones trying to silence you. How's your record doing?
It's doing really good, actually. Yeah. It's been, doing way better than it would have ever done with Castleface, and you know, it's pretty crazy because all these people say, you know, "Oh, you're so oppressive to these people who are suffering," but I'm somebody who has a war background. I survived a war with my parents, and I feel like I have a pretty good perspective of what is suffering. And these people are saying, you know, you're not allowed to say white Christmas or milk is racist, and I mean, they've gone too far, and it's completely insane. And especially coming from Bosnia, having your house bombed and all these things, you know, you realize like these people have it so good. You know, you live in such a great country.
It's got to make you laugh when you hear about academic students on campus demanding safe spaces. You know what a safe space is because you escaped an unsafe space.
Absolutely. America is a safe space in that context. But definitely, as a refugee, a safe space, you know, the ones that you see in campuses wouldn't have done me any good. I would have become a weakling. And I mean, I didn't escape a war to become weak. I escaped a war to have a life that is good and not dangerous. And that was an actual fascist regime. And, you know, everybody's calling us fascists for saying that we want criminals deported and that feminist bands are terrible, which they are.
At a certain point, you have to say, at a certain point, normal people have to say, this has gone way out of proportion.
Well, you guys are great. And Matt, Doris, the band's called Dream Machine. The new album's called The Illusion. I have it. I told everybody I know to buy it. It's great. And best of luck, and congratulations on your success. All right. When we return, the best part of Christopher Wray's confirmation hearing, the cable networks didn't show you. Finally, tonight, Trump's nominee to head the FBI, Christopher Wray, was questioned Wednesday at a Senate hearing. But the most interesting part of the hearing wasn't televised. Here's the exchange you missed between Wray and the junior senator from New Kansas.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for showing up. Can I call you Chris?
No.
We'll get there. All right, I want to talk to you about throwing good parties in college.
Well over 50% of my time in those 4 years was focused on these very kinds of issues.
How essential is the keg to keeping the party going?
If that dries up, we're in a world of hurt.
How would you respond if Attorney General Sessions tried to ban all college parties?
First, I would try to talk him out of it, and if that failed, I would resign.
Your integrity is impressive. You've been investigating. Which is more delicious, Twinkie ice cream or cupcake ice cream? Are you going to continue to pursue this?
There isn't a person on this planet whose lobbying or influence could convince me to just drop or abandon a properly predicated and meritorious investigation.
I appreciate your persistence.
This is one of the most difficult issues facing the country.
No, I agree. Ice cream is a big deal.
That's absolutely true.
Rumor has it you're a fan of Maroon 5. Is that true? You understand that in the United States Senate, we find that kind of thing unacceptable.
I understand completely what you're getting at.
Between you and I, that might not sit well with Senator Hatch. Whatever happens, I wish you the best of luck, bro.
Thank you, Senator. It means a lot.
All right. Gotta go. Thanks to Shannon Bream, Mark Stein, Katz, Tyrus, Matthew, Doris Melton, and our studio audience. I'm Greg Gutfeld. I love you, America.